Thousands of demonstrators make their presence known and their voices heard to denounce the actions of the Trump administration.
I think a lot of lines have been crossed, but I think this is a point of no return.
That being just one of at least two protests as local groups call out the administration's rollback of environmental regulations.
All of the attacks on public lands, tribal lands, it's really scary.
Plus, the city of Lake Oswego no longer fighting public access to the lake, but they have put in rules.
So we're moving because we know summer's on its way.
Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. Protests against the Trump administration were held all over the country today. It's part of the Hands-Off movement, which has organized demonstrations across the nation this month, including one 2 weeks ago in Oregon and Washington. And it was a scary moment today for protesters north of Seattle. Several gunshots were heard near a demonstration on Whidbey Island. No one was hurt. Deputies say a man was lawfully shooting his gun in his backyard near that gathering. New here at 11, there were at least two large protests we are aware of that took place here in Portland. Local environmental groups gathered at Elizabeth Carruthers Park near the South Waterfront to stage a climate justice rally. They then marched toward the Tesla dealership on McCadden. The Trump administration argues it's rolling back on unnecessary regulations that harm businesses while still following the science. But protesters say they're slashing environmental protections in the face of a climate crisis.
And we are really trying to reject greenwash solutions to the climate crisis, really wanting true solutions, people-powered solutions that are not throwing Indigenous communities and communities in the Global South under the bus. So it's been really beautiful to see the different organizations coming together around this, being able to make connections with other people that are scared and afraid and angry and be together in joyful spaces like this where we're seeing what people power can do.
Focusing on Oregon, they're calling on the state's treasury to divest public employee retirement funds from Tesla, accusing the company of misleading the public on the environmental harm of electric vehicles. The largest demonstration we saw in our area today started and ended at Pioneer Courthouse Square. President Trump says the federal government is focused on cutting government spending, securing the border, and boosting American manufacturing. Ashley Graham shares what protesters had to say in response.
Protesters here telling me they are not happy with the Trump administration, taking issue with everything from DOGE to tariffs and deportations.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go.
If I could have 10 signs, I would, but I don't have enough arms.
Protesters started in Pioneer Square before marching through downtown Portland Saturday afternoon.
A few thousand.
Jack O'Connor stumbled on the demonstration.
There are a lot of different messages here.
The list goes on.
Natalie says she's protesting for many reasons. For one, she's against the Trump administration's tariffs and concerned about rising prices.
Try to buy a car in a month, good luck. You're going to pay thousands and thousands of more dollars for everything.
Most of those reciprocal tariffs are on pause. The Trump administration says their goal is to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. and are focused on the long term.
This is what democracy looks like.
As the march snaked through the Rose City, Portland police closed the roads. TriMet riders also faced some delays. Some in the crowd carried signs taking aim at the administration's immigration policy.
I made this sign specifically. We need to bring him home. We need to give him due process.
Patrick Blewett is talking about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a migrant recently deported to El Salvador.
He was in the U.S. legally, no matter what the Trump administration says.
This man is according to certified statements that we get, is a very violent person.
The protest ended around 2 in the afternoon. Portland Police Chief Bob Day posted on social media calling this a peaceful event and thanking everyone for prioritizing safety. In Portland, Ashley Graham's KGW News.
And you just heard from President Trump and a local protester about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Another federal lawmaker, this one from Oregon, will travel to El Salvador to demand his release. Representative Maxine Dexter says she is continuing this push because Abrego Garcia is being held in a foreign prison despite the Trump administration's own acknowledgement he was wrongfully deported, and the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling that the federal government must facilitate his return. In a statement, she said this is a constitutional crisis that should outrage every single one of us, and she's traveling to confront this crisis head on. Now, this is the second such protest of this scale that we've covered, and we've also covered demonstrations outside of local Tesla dealerships. To see our previous reporting, visit our website, kgw.com, or download our free KGW News app. Well, we started off the weekend with some showers earlier today, but we saw some spectacular conditions this afternoon with sunny skies and really pleasant temperatures. Now, will those conditions continue into Easter Sunday? I know someone who's got those answers for us, meteorologist Joe Ranieri.
About as popular as the Easter Bunny tonight. No, but seriously, John, we are going to be looking at some changes moving in tomorrow morning. Increasing clouds, just more of an onshore flow. But again, if you have any plans to be outdoors tomorrow, having some brunch plans, it's going to be more dry than wet is a good way to describe it, especially the farther south you go from the metro area. But with that said, late morning between 11 and 1 o'clock is that window where we're going to be seeing some light showers. The showers will pick up a little bit by the afternoon, but by the later part of the evening, we're pretty much dry. Then going into Monday, I have in the forecast a few showers out there, but it's going to be, again, very light amounts. So between tomorrow and the end of Monday, and I should say by the early part of the afternoon on Monday, we're looking at under a tenth of an inch of rain, maybe a little bit more than that, and then that's about it. And then we go into Monday, we got a lot of sunshine ahead, and that's going to be the case heading into the middle part of the week. But here's a look at your Easter forecast. So tomorrow morning, we'll be seeing temperatures in the mid-40s around 8 a.m., staying dry. By midday, we'll start to see a few showers back into the picture. By the end of the day, we'll be topping out with temperatures in the upper 50s. Unfortunately, I don't have any daytime highs close to 80 degrees like we saw yesterday, but I do have some pretty nice conditions right around the corner. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thank you. We'll see you later in the show. Happening now, Portland police are out in full force looking for street racers. PPB says they received a tip about 2 planned street takeover events tonight that are expected to draw people from around the region. Police warn under Oregon law, cars used in illegal street racing may be forfeited and drivers can face hefty fines and even jail time. PPB also warns those attendees that even if they don't see officers, it doesn't mean they're not there. Sergeant Kevin Allen says they've used airplanes and drones in the past to monitor events and gather information that could lead to future arrests.
Historically, they've been all over the city. North Portland for sure, Marine Drive, big wide open roads, straight stretches of roads. We've seen that lots of times. But we've seen them in tight quarters here in downtown.
The Bureau says since the law went into effect, 4 vehicles have been forfeited, 3 have been returned to lien holders, and 5 remain in the forfeiture process. In Southern Oregon, Umpqua Community College announced that the head coach of its softball team and one of its players were killed in a crash that is believed to have been caused by an impaired driver. Oregon State Patrol said it happened just before 10 last night on Highway 42 in Coos County, just south of Myrtle Point. Investigators say an SUV crossed the center line and hit a bus carrying 10 members of the softball team. 19-year-old Kylie Jones was pronounced dead at the scene. Head coach Jamie Strins was taken to the hospital and died of her injuries. The other 8 in the bus suffered serious to moderate injuries. In a statement released by the college, the UCC president said, "These individuals were cherished members of our campus. Our entire community is grieving this tragic loss." Governor Tina Kotek also released a statement earlier today saying in part, "Oregon is here for you in your grief and loss." In less than 1 week, Multnomah County first responders have pulled 3 bodies from the Willamette River. The sheriff's office says the latest was found yesterday near the Port of Portland's Terminal 4 near the St. John's Bridge. Tuesday, the body of 24-year-old Rachel Mobley was found near Sauvie Island's Wapato Bridge. And last Sunday, deputies recovered the body of 32-year-old Daniel Alcazar near Swan Island. The sheriff's office said they have no reason to believe these cases are connected. The city of Lake Oswego has released new rules and regulations regarding access to Oswego Lake, just weeks after deciding not to appeal a judge's decision on granting public access. The regulations were presented during a council meeting this week, which focus on access from the steps of Millennium Plaza Park. The launching of motorboats from the steps is prohibited. Only kayaks, stand-up paddleboards, canoes, and Coast Guard approved inflatables under 18 feet will be allowed.
We believe it's unsafe to drop a motor on those steps. We think somebody's going to get hurt and the steps are going to get damaged, even if it's a trolling motor.
The city manager says that council will revisit the issue at the end of the summer to determine if adjustments will need to be made.